Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. The insider selling continues, and we've got 6 new filings from 5 insiders, and that's posted on Palantir's SEC filing page. And these are big names here from management and selling. So with this happening, this is all while winning the NHS deal finally officially, and then all the drama still happening with OpenAI and Microsoft still in this limbo with Sam Altman. So looking at the stock first, pre-market, we saw some negative price action hovering around the 2080s and 2090s, but right when the market opened, Palantir flew up to the high of $21.85, but just like Whiplash, it came right back down below $21 in the mid-20s. So we'll see if this holds or if we see a continuation of this downward pressure, and I honestly, at least personally, wouldn't be surprised to see more downward movement with the recent run-up and insider selling. We'll see if the 20s can hold then, which was where we saw a lot of resistance in the previous week. So that's the next battleground for support. Honestly, that's highly likely to occur here. Well, if it's going to actually hold, that's a different story, but it's just something to watch out for. But there's also a lot of buy pressure that has pushed the stock up recently, and just because we see a breather, it doesn't mean it's officially done here either. So we'll see how this plays out and if a support level is found and tested/held. Now, onto the news today. There's a bunch of the SEC forms, like I mentioned. First, we got to start with the CEO, Alex Karp. He had multiple filings here with the first one where he offloaded 325,000 shares at a total value of around $6.7 million. So that's around $20.49. Then the second one, he offloaded 585,000 shares at $12.6 million at an average of $21.50. So kind of near the top there. Next one, we got Ryan Taylor, who sold 147,828 shares. That's a total value of $2.2 million with an average sell price of $21.50. Then the crowd favorite here, I think at least, Shyam Sankar, he's selling 351,198 shares at $7.6 million with a price of $21.50. And then Stephen Cohen selling 405,000 shares for $8.7 million, $21.50 as well. Then David Glazer selling 225,714 shares for $4.8 million, and that's also at $21.50. So it really sounds like they had a limit order here and they all kind of coordinated it. I'm not sure if this is something pre-planned. So on a day like yesterday, when this actually took place for the transactions where we ran, we saw a ton of shares sold around the $21.50, or at least some resistance at that point. And we definitely slowed down the run up at that point if you were watching the price around that area yesterday on Monday. So all we can do as public investors and take the information as it is. If management sells shares at this price, no matter what, we don't know exactly what they're thinking, but we know they know it can be a signal to the market. And they think it's a fair or overvalued security, and they decided to run with it, and honestly, not surprised with the way things are playing out this year, with the stock up over 200%. Now, on the long-term perspective, it's really just part of any company. Insiders accumulate shares that get rewarded there, and they want to offload it when they think it's right for them. Plus, they're already invested in a company through employment. And many people, notably Karp and Sankar, have built up this company basically for decades, so why not enjoy some offloading at a $45 billion market cap? So you just got to put yourself in their shoes, and it was enough reason to pull the trigger, probably even after knowing how investors will react, and this is naturally going to happen. And even if they sold early with a 10-year perspective, there's just a lot of factors at play us investors don't know. Plus, I'd rather have it happen here than say $16, $17, $18, because then it'd also say the same argument. Now, juicily, we also finally won the contract officially for the NHS FTP. So the Guardian broke the news first there a few minutes before. So check that out if you'd like, but I'd rather use the source themselves from NHS England's own post. The new software will be rolling out over next spring, so essentially tying data together for all the trusts to ensure more seamless care. The huge benefits here, of course, they want to note in this letter before stating the winners, I think just to soften the blow, is that tying everything like beds, sizes of waiting lists, rosters, availability of supplies and care places, as well as staff, can improve operating theaters and outpatient clinic times to ensure the NHS can efficiently provide care here, meaning that more people can get access to it. Now, they state it here officially, Palantir wins alongside Accenture. It's finally real here. It's said from the horse's mouth themselves. Now, you'll see here that it's 7 years, they point out, as they bring more trust over time. So a very long-term project, of course, and it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take time to play out. Now, they estimate the first year to be around £25 million, with the contractual period up to $330 million, and that's the investment in the FTP contract. So this is the funny part here where I'm kind of confused myself, where we got this huge contract, or at least talked about £480 million for at least 5 years, and then an additional 2 years also on top of that. But here, it sounds possibly reduced down to 330 million. So let me know if I'm not understanding the contract correctly here, or if maybe more information just has to come out. Now, if this is truly lower than all the headlines or the original contract, then that's something to keep note of. Maybe it was a negotiation tactic for Palantir, saying they'll provide the service at an even cheaper rate. Maybe they just like the way to sweeten the deal here because they're so good at it, what they can provide it much more efficiently here, and they're showing to the government that they're demonstrating that already just on the upfront cost. So I don't know here, but let me know if I'm missing something. Now, I believe the initial contract is supposed to be for 5 years with 2 additional optional, so it sounds like maybe they want to stick with them already, saying the course of 7 years, or maybe they just want to keep the context of the maximum amount of time possible that's on paper. So there's lots of questions, honestly, with this report here coming out, but the main point is that they've won officially and they've said it themselves. Now, what I'll keep an eye out for in the future for this news and what are the outcomes for this long-term project is, of course, how are patients reacting? What is the public thinking about it? How much money is being saved? How many patients more are being looked at? Things like that, where we're able to actually see quantitative numbers of their performance. And if this does show Palantir is the real deal providing value once actually implemented across a larger ecosystem for the NHS. And the point is, if they're having a huge effect here on the system as a whole, it's more than they could ever do with an individual hospital. And they close out the article here before the bigwigs made their quotes, talking about the successes from their pilots with reducing long-term stays, even though there was more demand as well as more patients. And if this is scalable to other hospitals, then we'll see that. Then regardless of how much stickier the population gets, this efficiency still improves those baselines. And say the population stayed the same, then this will have an even bigger effect, at least based on these pilots. So more to see, but glad to see it finally quote unquote over, but the real work actually begins now. And really quick too, I thought the OpenAI drama was settling down yesterday, but Satya Nadella on CNBC basically did not confirm Sam Altman is going to Microsoft, and one of their board members basically opened a can of worms, convoluting the narrative on why Sam Altman was fired. Now, I don't want to keep reporting on a continuing developer story that's just all up in the air, but honestly, in my selfish opinion, the more this flopping around happens with both Microsoft and OpenAI, the better it is for Palantir, and of course Google on the side too, and just any company that wants to be a bastion of artificial intelligence or the face of it. This is not my opinion on technology or competing on those products, but just the public image aspect in regards to AI. Now, I think long-term, Microsoft will probably benefit if they can ultimately keep Sam Altman at OpenAI, or if he comes over to Microsoft, so it's a win-win for them, which I think now are the likelier scenarios to play out. And the remaining board members at OpenAI right now that started this whole debacle, they're probably the most at risk, honestly. But thanks for tuning into Palantir Daily, and I'll see you in the next one.